Welcome, everyone. My name is Deborah Ancona, and I'll be the faculty lead for this course. I'm very excited to be here today. By way of background, I'm a psychologist by training, but have been working in the field of organizational behavior for the past number of years. And I'm a faculty member at the MIT Sloan School of Management. In that role, I've studied three different things. Individual leadership, what are the capabilities that make leaders effective? Second is teams. How do we create high-performing teams? And third is organizational change. How do we help organizations move from bureaucracies to more nimble, agile, learning networked forms? And so that takes up a huge amount of my time. However, I've been at MIT, and so the MIT motto has been implanted in my brain. And the motto is mens et manus, mind and hand. So what I do is create models. That's the mens, that's the mind. But the model alone is not enough. If we have a great model of a bridge, but we create the bridge and it falls down, it's not a great model. So here we look at the interaction of model and application, theory and practice. And that's what I'm going to do with you throughout this course. We'll be learning a lot of theory, but then it will be up to you to put that theory into practice. I also work a lot with organizations to create change and with individuals on their own leadership development. So I hope that that background will be useful as you and I go through the process of working on your leadership signature. I'm trained as a psychologist, and this class is all about psychology. And so it's very fun for me to get back to this. I had developed already courses on teams and organizations, but there was a hole in the curriculum at the MIT Sloan School, and so I got to develop this course, which has been a lot of fun. Not only has it been fun for me, but the class has had an amazing response from other people. So I'm excited to be here, and I hope that the impact that it has had on others is also the impact that it can have on you. That said, this class is what you make of it. It will require lots of reflection, learning some models, applying those models, and trying out new things, experimenting a little bit with your own leadership. And so if you put your time in and do that, the results will be better. The class is based on two particular questions. The first half, the first three sessions, are all about what kind of leader are you? The second is how can you further develop as a leader? So the first half will be all about what is your leadership signature? How can you describe it? How do you define it? How can you communicate it? And the second half will be, okay, if I want to change one thing about my leadership signature, how do I do it? And so those are the two questions that will dominate the class. There are also some more specific goals. The first is getting a deeper sense of your own unique way of leading, your leadership signature. So we'll be digging down deeply into who are you really. Second is you're going to be practicing multiple leadership stories. So one goal is that you become a really good storyteller. You'll be doing that multiple times, and we'll be looking at theory to help you to become a great storyteller. A third goal is that you will advance your leadership development, that you will take some aspect of your leadership and move it forward, that you will be a better leader at the end of this class than you are right now. Fourth is not only are you going to do a lot of self-reflection and experimenting, you'll also get a chance to reflect with your classmates. That is, even though this is an asynchronous class, you'll have opportunities to meet with a large group and with some smaller groups. So that will be hopefully a fun part of the class as well. In addition to goals, there are a number of theoretical lenses that we'll be using throughout the year or throughout the course. The first is the idea of multiple selves. In the first class, you'll be looking at your leadership signature through the lens of multiple selves. So you might have an entrepreneurial self. You might have an organizational change self. You might have a self that's interested in empathy. Whatever it is, what are the different selves that make up your leadership signature, and how can you best think about which ones you want to develop? A second theoretical frame is family systems theory. In class 2, we'll go deep down into your childhood and thinking about what aspects of your family dynamics play out in your work as a leader today in your organization. So family systems theory is the base upon which we'll do that work. The third area in the third week of class will be looking at developmental psychology. So even though neuroplasticity lessens after age 25, there's a lot of work by psychologists that shows that there are adult stages of development. So in class 3, you'll be able to have the opportunity to think about which stage of development classifies me right now and how might I think about moving forward in that development. A fourth area of theory is narrative. As I said before, you're going to be practicing a lot of storytelling. There are theories about how to tell a really good story, and so we'll look at that theory and apply it to your own storytelling. Fifth, theories of change. People are actually terrible at change. That's why there are so many books and articles and videos on change. So how do you actually make effective change? How can you take your leadership signature and move it forward? Last, leadership theory. People from Roman times have been studying leaders. What makes them tick? What makes them effective? What's the best way to lead under what circumstances? And so we'll be looking at that theory so that you can use it to think about what directions do I want to develop as a leader. We will be also using a framework that Harvey Hornstein, a professor at Columbia, developed based on the work of Carl Jung, a famous psychologist who also believed in multiple selves. In the Jungian framework, which will actually be the way that we organize the entire class, there are these selves that differ in time. So there's your child of the past, that is the child that you were and the parts of you that still play a role in the leader that you are today. Then there's a developed self, the part that represents your leadership signature today. Who are you today? Who are you as a leader? We'll also look at your future self further down in the course. Who is the leader I want to be? Who is the leader I can be? And so the focus will be going forward. As part of the work on your future self, we'll also look at what Jung called the underdeveloped self or your shadow self. And in that, we'll look at some selves that you may have discarded along the way as you were moving toward your developed self. It might be the artist self or the athlete self. And that self may be resurrecting itself, and you want to say, do I want to bring some of the things that I left behind back into the future self that I'm creating? And so this model, again, will permeate throughout the entire course. So I hope you're as excited as I am to move along, to go through these different theoretical frames and the analysis of yourself as a leader.